are in no way non-biased on this channel. In fact, we're very proud of our biases because they're right and we can prove it to you. A couple of years ago, I was forced with a choice to move my family out of the godforsaken, rat-infested, crumbling, defund the police, Antifa spawning ground called Washington, D.C. This was as President Trump was departing the White House in 2020. It was a terrible place to live and a very unsafe place to live. And I had a few choices. We looked at Tennessee, we looked at Texas, but we decided on Florida, and that was a really wise choice. No hate, by the way, to those other states. There are some wonderful states in the country, but I just proudly argue that Florida is the best state because in the state of Florida, Republicans wield power, and I can prove it to you. The reason why Republicans wielding power is so important here is because that's what you do when you have power. You ensure that your enemies, especially if your enemies are godless communists, can no longer seize power from you and then terrorize the people of this great state. And that is precisely what's been done. Look here, this is where I live in Tampa, this little blue dot. There should have never been a blue district. Tampa isn't particularly Democrat. Everybody here that I know is a Republican or very conservative. It's a great place to live. I live here because it has access to an airport and I got to travel a lot. And so why is it blue? Well, it's not anymore. Ron DeSantis just did this. Now I live inside of a dark red kingdom, and that is exactly what the state of Florida is. All of the Democrat areas in this state after redistricting have been turned into teeny little ghettos, and those ghettos could probably turn red with enough ICE raids. And so it's a great place to live. You feel like you have somebody that has your back. You feel like Republicans here are willing to expend and use the political power that we give them to make our lives better. Living here, it's clean, it's safe, it's nice, it's a good place to raise a family, and that's really all that I care about. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, Democrats care about the opposite. They care about being theater kids and terrorizing the people of this state with as much bullhorn activity as you possibly can. This is the insufferable response of the libs when Ron DeSantis, after the Supreme Court's decision to gut the racist Voting Rights Act and allow us to draw congressional districts based on Americans and not based on skin color, started behaving like this. Here's your trigger warning. You are about to hear insufferable, privileged, libtard bullhorn screaming. Here we go.
Destroy our democracy! This is a violation of the Constitution!
This is a member of the Florida State Legislature.
Representative Persons Malika has.
I want Republican leadership that does that to libtards. This is what I want. Like, I want them reduced to theater kids with bullhorns in jumpsuits, in onesies. Okay, this is what real leadership looks like. And by the way, lady, you can move to Georgia anytime you'd like. Right? It's not even that far away. Ron DeSantis is inviting libtards down here. He is taunting Hakeem Jeffries, who said if Ron DeSantis redistricts and uses his power, he's going to come down here and start campaigning for Democrats. And Ron DeSantis did a impression of Hakeem Jeffries and made him sound retarded, and I think that's funny.
We gonna do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you gonna find out all this stuff. And you know what I said was, listen, and he's like, oh, if you do the redistricting, we're gonna take out all your members, we're gonna do all this stuff. And what I said was, go ahead, make my day. You don't think we're gonna, you wanna come down here and spend money and in Florida, roll the dice and take your chances, but don't think that you can come down here, issue threats to us, and somehow you're going to make us flinch. That is not happening, and in fact, it did not happen, because as soon as he came out and started doing that last week, Florida legislature turned around and they passed a new map.
Now this is the new map. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The way he made Jeffries sound mentally retarded sent me. DeSantis nails the Nakeem Jeffries impression.
We go Republicans is F around and find out.
He's like,
We gonna do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you gonna find out.
This is how you win, by the way. You take these people and you mock them and you ridicule them. And they're theater kids. They're not actually real people. They've never built anything. They've never had any struggle in life. They are silver spoon communists. They get driven around in black cars. They have security details. They're not real. AOC is not real. Hassan Piker is not real. None of these people are real. Hassan Piker is a very, very spoiled rich kid who had a private pony and a riding crop, okay? He was raised with caviar, capitalism, and I guess some people just are very, very unhappy. And so you can't take them seriously. You have to mock them. You have to ridicule them, and it's based, ladies and gentlemen. You can't tell me this isn't this Patriot's first time at doing this voice. Anyway, the point is that Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump are two individuals that are perfectly happy to wield power. And the left hates that. They're not used to Republicans fighting back. They're used to Republicans rolling over and playing dead. Donald Trump calls Ron DeSantis fancy shoes and sanctimonious on the campaign trail when they were running against each other. But since then, the two have made up. Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have met actually quite regularly here in the state of Florida. And now it turns out that Ron DeSantis, since he is term limited, is looking for his next step. He's not going to be running for Senate. He's not going to be running for state office. He may be running for president, or he may be running into Trump's cabinet. Ron DeSantis is begging Trump for a primetime role in the administration. Is what it says. DeSantis has expressed interest in being Secretary of Defense, a spot on the Supreme Court, potentially the Attorney General, according to 6 sources briefed on the discussion. DeSantis is set to leave office at the end of his second term in January and is looking for what to do next. He is the Trump understudy turned rival turned friend. DeSantis's future was on the menu when the two men met at Trump National Golf Club in Miami. Ron was begging to be AG, according to a Trump confidant. Well, President Trump just was asked about Ron DeSantis at the White House, and he announced his opinion on DeSantis, which will probably come as no surprise to you. Here we go.
For a cabinet position. Would you consider Ron DeSantis for a cabinet position?
Well, I like him a lot, so nobody did. I like him a lot.
He says, I like him a lot, and we're talking about that. So this is the first time on the record that we have Donald Trump saying, yeah, yes. The answer is yes.
Well, I like him a lot, so nobody did. I like him a lot.
And when Trump sort of holds his cards close to the chest like this, you know that something's actually happening. President Trump implies that he's considering Ron DeSantis for a cabinet position. I like him a lot. This is the footage of the actual meeting. You can see Ron DeSantis smiling here, Donald Trump cracking wise. Here they are. This is Trump walking in. Meet with DeSantis. There is a crowd club in Florida. Ron DeSantis, of course, has made quite a few ovations to President Trump. He's renamed the Palm Beach Airport and renamed also a highway leading to Mar-a-Lago, the Donald J. Trump Boulevard right here. DeSantis says Trump says he's consider hiring DeSantis next year. He's doing a very good job. Would you like to see Ron DeSantis in the administration? Would you like to see Ron DeSantis as Attorney General? I think Todd Blanche is doing amazing. I was thinking DeSantis would make a great Attorney General, but I think Todd Blanche is honestly doing a remarkable job right now. What about on the Supreme Court or Secretary of Defense? Ron DeSantis says he might run for president, and he wants to abolish the TSA. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis hints he may run for president in 2028.
Trump, if he wasn't running, I would, before, like in Iowa, the people that voted for Trump, if he wasn't running, I would have gotten like 90% of those people. They were conservative voters, right? They didn't want the non-conservative. That they wanted me, and so but the timing didn't work out, obviously, for that. So you just got to see what happens.
Will you?
So Ron DeSantis saying he might run. We'll see. DeSantis is doing 2% right now in the polls, so he'd have to do a little work on that. But everywhere I go and whenever we're traveling, everybody always says that they think Ron DeSantis is the best governor in the country. And I think that's really hard to argue, frankly, with the data. Very hard to argue with the results. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny.